Hello and welcome to this final rendition of Invest Gauteng. Now, throughout this series, we explored the different investment avenues that South Africa's smallest yet richest province has to offer. In the past few episodes, we looked into some of the biggest sectors that make up Gauteng's GDP. Let's take a look at this.
Everything that we do, we exist to create an enabling environment from the private sector. So all these spaces and these ecosystems that we create are done in collaboration and also to attract the private sector. So in all the work that we do, we take time to apply ourselves in terms of which areas will best benefit from this influx and this sort of reindustrialization. We need to say, how do we as Africa and African cities improve the bankability of our infrastructure projects?
It's important that if Gauteng is to remain the largest and the lead economy of the country, it needs to provide avenues around which other parts of the country can grow and can also be transformed in a manner that actually meets the various industrial sectors throughout the value chain. So rural development of South Africa, in the case of South Africa, is highly dependent upon the extent to which the financial services that are headquartered particularly in Gauteng invest in those initiatives that are in the rural areas in order to transform the growth and economies of our rural areas.
But what we want to see for any investment is that we have that increase in jobs. That there is also an opportunity to grow technologies. Now, that's always a two-edged sword, because in some instances you introduce technology and then what happens to the jobs? But that's where the skilling comes in, and we also then work very hard to ensure that we allow for reskilling or upskilling, whichever the case may be, so that whatever investments that we end up attracting, we can ensure that there is that growth, and not just in jobs, in ensuring SMME development as well, because yes, jobs are important, but also of equal importance are the opportunities that would arise from an investment, whether it is through SMME or entrepreneurial support or opportunities that come out of that investment.
Unfortunately, we had to revise some of our numbers downwards. We were affected in terms of the first 2 quarters of our financial year. However, I must say that the team has been working quite hard to ensure that we catch up with a number of the performance indicators where we have lagged, and by all accounts we will try and ensure that we meet most of our stated objectives by the end of the financial year. We do expect, however, that it will take at least 2 years for the South African automotive sector to rebound. We had to adjust some of our strategic objectives in that regard, and up to 5 years for the world automotive sector to rebound. So South Africa has to play quite a significant role to ensure that it gets back to the relevant levels that is required of production.
Gauteng is the economic heart of the country. We produce 34% of the GDP, and as a province we produce 10% of the total GDP of Africa. So this is really where the financial heart is, where manufacturing is, where the gold mines and the mining were, and the industry. So this is really and so we have 2 things. We have this economic growth and we have the size.
And of course, we do need to invest in these groups, and of course, we have to stay true to the topic, to the name of the show, Invest Gauteng. And I have to ask you about how the Gauteng province plans to attract foreign and domestic investment, especially at this time.
Yeah, it's a challenge that I think government generally we are dealing with it, and I think you had a Minister of Health in terms of the plans that we are having with COVID-19 vaccine. So that is the process that I think will unfold, and at the end of the day we'll be able to achieve herd immunity. But after all, South Africa is an important country in Africa, an important country in the world. but also there are a lot of opportunities here. And from our calculation and trend analysis, all of us can see that Africa is going to be a place to be in the future. I mean, one can give a lot of example in terms of why we think this continent is going to become important. And South Africa, Gauteng is going to be a nice springboard for any investor who want to come in Africa to be able to invest here. So what we are doing as a province, we have came up with our investor book so that first of all, as an investor, you should be able to know what opportunities exist in Gauteng, what are they about, where they are, what government is doing in the spaces. So Gauteng, as Gauteng, we're trying to turn this province into a mega special economic zone. These special economic zones are there as part of attracting investors in Gauteng, but we don't want to have them as a separate entities. We want to have some sort of a well-coordinated ecosystem of manufacturing in the province to be able to attract these investors, but also making sure that our small businesses are also involved both in construction, but as well as in the operation of these special economic zones. We also have got a number of industrial parks in the province. We've got a number of agri parks in the province. So together, this will form basis of attracting investment in the province, but also investment in the country, and will help us to rejuvenate our manufacturing. I mean, we've been talking about a TMR agenda in Gauteng, which means we want to transform, want to modernize, but we also want to reindustrialize. So we are cognizant that manufacturing has been declining, but we think there's a huge opportunity to upscale it by reindustrializing, but also ending up leading the way into the rest of Africa. As you are saying, the name of the show is how do we attract investment in the province. And we think a special economic zone is one way of actually trying to promote investment in the province, but also at the end of the day, enabling us to be one of the key exporters in Africa and in the world, rather than relying more on imports.
Now, of course, we do want Gauteng to be a mega economic zone, and all we're talking about right now with the, with COVID-19 is recovery and building back better. And I just want to know what are the Gauteng province's plans, recovery plans amid COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 to spur economic activity.
Yeah, as indicated earlier, I've talked about our 4-pillar plan, which says that the government is not going to have enough resources to deal with the challenges. So we need private sector to come on board. So one of the key pillars is strategic partnerships, and I think we have touched base through our Gauteng Growth and Development Agency to have a partnership with different sectors in the province to make sure that in those specific sectors we work together to deal with challenges there. The other important thing, as I indicated to you, is that at the center of our plan is SME support. This SME support, we are deliberately doing it from Gauteng Enterprise Propeller point of view. We have given our SMMEs a repayment holiday to give them a space to recover. But on top of that, we are deliberately also making sure that from the procurement point of view, they have market access. This market access will enable them to have cash flow, because without cash flow, the opportunity to survive is going to be slim. But on top of that, as I said, through our initiative to come up with this fund, to make sure that they can also be able to get funding at low cost in terms of interest rate, because the idea is that we are a developmental state, so we are trying to make sure that we assist as many SMEs as possible. So if they are provided with finance, if they are provided with market access, if they are provided with business development support, we are of the view that they will be able to soldier on, and they will be able to recover and become big players. As government, we can also use infrastructure to reboot the economy. Infrastructure, it assists you from two sides. The first one is that in the interim, about 2 million people or so in the province which are not employed are able to get jobs in the construction of this important infrastructure. But the good thing about infrastructure is that you are also building the capacity of the economy to produce future goods and services. So in doing this, we know that we are investing in the capacity of this economy to be able to produce goods and services. But secondly, it means that we are also reducing the output gap. If you reduce the output gap, it implies that you will be able to importing less and less from other countries, then you can be able to create jobs locally. So these are some of the initiatives that the province has taken to make sure that we are able to reboot the economy going forward. I think those are some of the key things that we have done to date and that we are continuing to do going into the future. But also from the research side, from the department's point of view, our economic intelligence is also to say, because what are emerging opportunities? Because we want to be proactive, guide our SMMEs, but also show them where there are opportunities so that those who are interested can be given appropriate support to participate in those sectors. Because all of us can agree that COVID-19 has actually devastated the economy, but it has also pinpointed to all and sundry some of emerging opportunities going forward. It has indicated what certain things are not going to be required going forward. For example, one may ask that going forward, is there going to be a need for this big shopping complex? One may say no. So we may start to adjust and take care of new opportunities going forward.
And you mentioned infrastructure there, indeed very important, as we build back better, and looking forward to seeing the positive effects of on the ground of that infrastructure spending by the government. We'll have to leave it for today. And that was the acting CEO of the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, Motlatso Moholwa. Thank you to you, our viewers, for taking this journey with us. From me, Zinati Guma, it's goodbye.